Hello everyone, it's Tana. Welcome back to the channel and another video for the Rabbit Hole Designs. Today I'm showing you two stamp sets from the latest release. We have Simple Things with that cute little cat and One Line Happy Easter. So today I'm going to be using the One Line Happy Easter and we're going to make two cards. And I'm pulling out my circles and stars stencil from Rabbit Hole Designs. And I covered all the stars with masking tape. I'm using the Eclipse, Judykins Eclipse masking tape, the one that comes on a roll. I'm making a point to tell you that because I switch it for the second card. And we'll talk about that when the time comes. So I put a list up there of all the Catherine Pooler inks I'm going to be using. And I'm kind of going to use a stencil to make I wanted the card background to look like a decorated Easter egg. And both of these cards were inspired by a card that another design team member made when the release came out. Lauren Z, if you don't follow her, you should. Take a look at her card. Should be posted on her Instagram. And it should also be on the Rabbit Hole Designs Instagram. So I'm moving along here. Every time I switch a color, I take the time to wash the ink off and move the stencil around a little bit. I'm trying to make sure that none of the dots, which of course wasn't going to happen, but as little as possible, run into or over each other. I didn't want to muddy the colors. I wanted them all to have their place. And for the most part, that worked really well. Whether it was sliding the stencil to the left or right or turning it 90 degrees. And I have to say this Judykins masking paper stayed on really well. I chose to use the smaller blending brushes, which just about killed me, guys, because I love my Rabbit Hole Designs blending brushes. They work so well, but I needed to be able to see that I wasn't running over the edge of the stencil, especially for this slimline card, and also that I wasn't bringing up any of the masking paper as I was ink blending. So I chose to use the smaller brushes. So for this one, I changed the colors up a little bit. And I'm moving the stencil down to continue the image. And with this pucker up, and let me tell you, this is a bright, bright pink, and it's new. It's in the Date Night collection for Catherine Pooler, and I love the color. And even with being careful, though, I will show you when the card's all done, I left a line halfway down the card. I just wanted to show you really quick here that this is how I was wiping off the stencil. And if you can tell, there's no longer Judykins masking paper on there. It is Post-it notes, full stick Post-it notes. They did not work as well. They did work through the first couple of colors, but after that, they started coming off when I would wipe off the stencil. So stick to masking paper for this technique. There's the line of pink. So I was trying to distract from that pink line by using limoncello yellow. And now I'm using my rabbit hole brush. And I'm just going over the whole background. I tried to pick a color that was light enough not to distract from what we were going for, but also not muddy the colors that we had already put on there. So now for the A2 size card, I'm going to take that little Easter bunny on the line. And I'm going to start stamping him. I think I'm going to do 4. So I move him all the way to the left and towards the top of the card. And each line is going to be in a different color. So the first color is Drive-In. And then the second color is the Pucker Up. The third color is Cummerbund. And I believe the fourth color is In the Park. So I do those 4 and I move the bunny over just a tiny bit each time. And then I'm going to extend the line, which is really easy to do with the Misty, by just lining it up. And then on the outside of the Misty door, I use a piece of purple tape to mark where I can stop putting ink on the stamp. And then I just stamp the rest of the line. You're going to have to move your cardstock inside the Misty back and forth, so you can fit the whole stamp in there. But it was fairly easy. It worked out really well. So there's our 4 bunnies. And they both look cute, both of them. The second one only has 1. but I decided I wanted to see the bunny more clearly. So I stamped out six bunnies, all in the colors that match their lines. And I'm going to fussy cut all of them out. The one didn't stamp correctly, so I set him aside. And I'm just going to show you a fussy cutting one. I did go over the outside of every fussy cut image with a Copic marker that best matched the stamp color or the ink pad color. And I just showed you the colors I used for the ears and the nose. And then I just glued them into their places onto the card fronts. And I think that makes the image pop a lot better and keeps the confetti in the background of the card. So I'm going to use this tonic mirrored cardstock for a frame around the slimline panel. And I also cut out an Easter, the word Easter, from my stash to go with that card. And for this card, the A2 size card, I used a piece of, I believe it's peacock, Concord and 9th peacock cardstock. And of course I can't waste the inside of that thing. Nobody's going to see it. So I cut out 2 stitched sentiment banners from the middle of it. We'll use one on the A2 card and I'll save the other one for another card. I popped the slimline panel up on some foam tape, added some glue to that, and I'm going to place that on its card front, or its card base real quick. Lately my finished slimline cards have been 4 by 8.5, but that will vary from video to video because now I have some dies I'd like to try out. It just seems to be an easy size. So now I'm going to stamp out Happy Easter, which is the sentiment that came with the stamp set, the little Easter bunny, on some vellum. And I'm using the Cummerbund ink. And then I used some clear embossing powder on that. Then I'm stamping Happy Easter out again on a piece of white cardstock with the pucker up. And after that's done, I will heat emboss that as well. And then I'm going to add some of the limoncello over that because that is for our slimline card. And I'm going to separate Happy from Easter. And then I decided that I didn't want to use it. So I did all this work and decided I didn't like the way it looked. So I ended up coming up with a different idea, which I'll show you in a minute. I used some clear dimensional adhesive on the back of that vellum and added it to the peacock sentiment strip, and then placed that down towards the bottom of the A2 size card and glued that. I glued it, I didn't use tape. Duh, you saw me do that. And then I used some of the Nouveau Deluxe adhesive on the Easter die cut. And I decided to cut out these little letters, Happy. And I thought that this went much better than the panel that I had stamped out. So I just put those like in a little random kind of half circle design over the word Easter. Added some jewels to both cards. I showed you the name of those. Actually, I show you these yellow ones after I finish the card. And that's it for both cards, guys. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you liked what you saw here today. Don't forget to join the Rabbit Hole Designs email so you can be aware of new releases and inspiration. And we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now, guys.